Riding. The sun hung low over the prairie, painting the endless grasslands in shades of gold and orange. The wagon train had been moving west for months, and every day seemed to blend into the next. Wheels creaked, horses snorted, and families pushed forward with dreams of a better future waiting somewhere beyond the horizon. Abigail Harper limped slightly as she walked beside one of the wagons. Her ankle had been bothering her for days, but she refused to complain. Complaining never helped. Since her father's death, she had learned that lesson well. Her stepmother had little patience for weakness and even less affection for the young woman who reminded her of the man she had lost. As the train stopped near a stream for a short rest, Abigail wandered a short distance away to gather water. The ground near the bank was uneven, and before she could catch herself, her foot slipped between two rocks. A sharp pain shot through her ankle, and she cried out as she fell. For several minutes she sat there, trying to gather the strength to stand. Her ankle throbbed with every movement. By the time she finally managed to pull herself beneath a nearby tree, the pain had become unbearable. She expected someone to come looking for her. Surely they would notice she was missing. Surely someone would care. But as the minutes stretched into an hour, a terrible feeling settled in her chest. The sounds of the wagon train grew fainter. Then fainter still. Abigail struggled to her feet and stared toward the trail. A cloud of dust drifted in the distance. The wagons were moving. Without her. No, she whispered. Panic surged through her body. She waved her arms and shouted until her throat hurt. Nobody turned back. Nobody stopped. Tears filled her eyes as she watched the last wagon disappear beyond a hill. They had left her. Whether by accident or intention, the result was the same. She was alone. The prairie seemed much larger now. The silence felt heavier. As the sun continued sinking toward the horizon, fear wrapped itself around her heart. She knew the dangers of the frontier. Wolves, coyotes, outlaws, the cold night itself. She hugged her knees and fought back tears. For the first time in her life, she truly had no one. Then she heard hoofbeats. At first she thought she imagined them. But the sound grew louder. A rider appeared on the distant trail. Abigail stood as quickly as her ankle allowed. The horse approached steadily until she recognized the man in the saddle. Nathan Cole, the cowboy who had traveled alongside the wagon train for several weeks. He wasn't part of any family. He rode alone, occasionally helping repair wagons or rounding up stray livestock. Most people knew very little about him. He was quiet, strong, and somehow always seemed to be watching everything. Nathan slowed his horse and looked from Abigail to the empty trail. His expression darkened immediately. They left you. Abigail swallowed hard. It seems that way. For a long moment he said nothing. Then he climbed from the saddle. What are you doing? She asked. Making camp. She blinked. Aren't you going after them? No. His answer came without hesitation. Abigail stared at him. Why not? Nathan met her eyes. The setting sun illuminated his face. Then he said 3 words. You're mine now. Abigail's breath caught. Nathan immediately shook his head. Not like that. Color appeared in his cheeks. I mean you're my responsibility. Nobody gets left behind. Despite the situation, a faint smile touched Abigail's lips. For the first time that day, she felt a small spark of hope. Nathan built a fire before darkness settled completely over the prairie. He shared his food, gave her the warmest blanket he owned, and sat awake long after she fell asleep. When Abigail woke the next morning, she found him already tending the horses. You stayed up all night? She asked. Nathan shrugged. Someone had to keep watch. Over the next few days, they traveled slowly across the prairie. Nathan examined her ankle and declared it badly sprained. Whenever walking became too painful, he helped her onto his horse. Whenever storms rolled across the plains, he found shelter. Whenever fear threatened to overwhelm her, his calm presence somehow pushed it away. At first their conversations were awkward. Neither knew much about the other. But long days on the trail have a way of turning strangers into companions. Abigail learned that Nathan had grown up on a ranch in Texas. A drought had destroyed most of the family cattle. Illness had taken his parents. By the age of 25, he had been forced to make his way alone. What about you? Nathan asked one evening. Abigail stared into the campfire. My father was everything to me. Nathan listened quietly. When he died, everything changed. She told him about her stepmother. The constant criticism, the coldness, the loneliness. Nathan's jaw tightened. When she finished, he tossed a stick into the fire. They never deserved you. The simple words affected her more than she expected. Nobody had ever said anything like that before. Weeks passed. Her ankle healed. The distance between them grew smaller. One afternoon they crossed a field covered with wildflowers. Abigail laughed as she rode beside him. Nathan glanced at her. What? You laughed. So, you don't do that often. She smiled. Maybe I finally have a reason. Nathan couldn't stop himself from smiling back. For the rest of the day, neither looked away quickly enough whenever their eyes met. Eventually they reached a small frontier town nestled beside a river. Nathan found work repairing fences and breaking horses. Abigail helped at the local church and taught children to read. For the first time in years, she felt useful, valued, happy. The townspeople quickly noticed the pair. Whenever Nathan entered a building, someone inevitably asked about Abigail. Whenever Abigail went shopping, someone asked about Nathan. Neither denied the obvious, yet neither spoke openly about their feelings. Perhaps both feared ruining what they already had. One evening, several months after arriving, trouble found them. Abigail was returning from the church when she heard shouting near the saloon. A crowd had gathered. Pushing through the spectators, she spotted Nathan. 3 drunken men surrounded him. One held a revolver. Abigail's heart nearly stopped. Nathan remained calm. The gunman demanded money. Nathan refused. The situation escalated quickly. Before anyone could react, the man raised the weapon. Then everything happened at once. Nathan moved. The gun flew from the man's hand. A punch sent another attacker sprawling into the dirt. The third turned and ran. Within seconds the fight was over. The crowd erupted into cheers. But Abigail barely heard them. She rushed toward Nathan. Are you hurt? No. Are you sure? Nathan nodded. Yet Abigail could not stop shaking. The realization struck her with terrifying force. She loved him. The thought was sudden, undeniable, and impossible to ignore. The possibility of losing him had frightened her more than anything she had ever experienced. That night neither slept much. The next evening Nathan asked her to walk with him. The sun was setting beyond the river. They followed a quiet path away from town. For several minutes neither spoke. Finally Nathan stopped. His expression was unusually serious. Abigail. Yes. I need to tell you something. Her pulse quickened. Nathan removed his hat and stared at the ground. She had never seen him nervous before. When I stayed behind that day, I told myself I was doing the right thing. She waited quietly. But somewhere along the way, things changed. His voice softened. You became more important than any destination. Abigail felt tears forming. Nathan looked directly into her eyes. I don't want a life that doesn't include you. The world seemed to stand still. The wind, the river, the fading sunlight, everything disappeared except the man standing before her. Abigail smiled through her tears. You should know something too. Nathan waited. I stopped wishing for the wagon train a long time ago. Hope appeared in his eyes. Real hope. The kind that changes lives. I stayed because I wanted to protect you, he said. And now? She asked softly. Nathan stepped closer. Now I stay because I love you. Abigail's answer came without hesitation. I love you too. Nathan gently took her hand. The warmth of his touch sent happiness rushing through her chest. A year later they were married. 2 years later they owned a small ranch outside town. The cabin was modest. The work was difficult. The future remained uncertain. But none of that mattered. They faced every challenge together. Sometimes, on quiet evenings, they would sit on the porch watching the sunset spread across the prairie. Abigail would lean against Nathan's shoulder and remember the day she had been abandoned. The day she thought her life was over. The day everything seemed lost. Yet fate had other plans. A wagon train had moved on without her. Everyone she depended on had disappeared into the distance. But one cowboy had stayed behind. One man had looked at a frightened young woman sitting alone beneath a tree and refused to leave. And because of that choice, she found something far greater than the future she had imagined. She found home. She found family. She found love. And every time Nathan caught her smiling at those memories, he would ask the same question. What are you thinking about? Abigail would squeeze his hand and smile. The 3 words that changed my life. Then Nathan would grin, knowing exactly what she meant. Because sometimes a promise is simple. Sometimes it only takes 3 words. And for Abigail Harper, those words had become the beginning of everything. You're mine now.